ladies and gentlemen of the motion picture audience. This is the National Broadcasting Company, Graham McNamee speaking. You have listened to the final chapter of the Phantom of Crestwood radio broadcast, which ended with the mystery still unsolved. Who killed Jenny Wren? Who killed Carter, her companion? You are invited to submit your own original ending for the story, and 100 prizes totaling $6,000 in cash were offered for the best endings. The National Broadcasting Company and RKO Radio Pictures have received thousands of original endings for the story. Of course, as we told you over the air, the winning endings need not necessarily be the same as that used in the motion picture. We have kept the solution of this mystery a secret for many months. But now that the contest is closed, you are about to see the mystery unraveled before your very eyes on the motion picture screen, so that you may compare your ending with that of the motion picture. The phantom killer of Jenny Wren is still at large. Who is that killer? We take pleasure on behalf of RKO Radio Pictures in presenting to you The Phantom of Crestwood. Graham McNamee signing off.
What are you doing in Los Angeles?
Me? Why, I'm here to look over the Olympic Games, stranger.
I wouldn't get mixed up in anything too gamey here if I were you.
Me?
You especially. It's always more fun for us to hook a big fish than a little rat. They fry better. I used to work in New York. I thought you might remember me.
You?
Look again.
Are you a short, fat man?
No. I might be wrong. What is your name?
Bonds.
How do you spell it?
The same way you pronounce it.
Jenny Wren.
Oh, hello, Miss Wren.
just waiting for someone, thanks.
Well, perhaps if you let me know who you're waiting for.
Oh, yes, of course. Mr. Fawns Barnes.
Barnes Farms?
No, Fawns Barnes.
I'm sorry, but I don't recall anyone by that name.
Isn't this the Bank of Southern...
Oh, no. This is the Harbor National Bank.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Have a peppermint?
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Andes, please. Mr. Andes is busy just now. Oh, I'm sorry. Will you tell him it's Jenny Wren? Hey, Miss Wren to see you, Mr. Andes.
Who? I'll send for those later. All right, send her in.
May go in.
Well, Jenny, a pleasure. A pleasure.
Isn't that nice? Give me a light, please, Priam.
I thought I read you were in the East.
I was.
Anything the matter?
Apparently. And the way you're jittering.
Come, Jenny, I'm too old for your tricks.
I'm getting on myself.
Nonsense.
I'm retiring, Priam. Leaving the country.
Oh, that's too bad. To lose so colorful a character. When are you going?
Not that fast. There are a few people I want to see first.
Ah, men, Jenny, men.
Mm-hmm. Herbert Walcott, Will Jones, Eddie Mack, and you. Yes, dear. So do be a sweet and give me a farewell party at the ranch. They always were such fun, those parties at Crestwood. Though you never invited your usual crowd there when I was around, did you?
Well, I could hardly have had you there.
I know. But you're going to have a few of that usual crowd there this weekend. Walcott, Jones, and Mack. They've been there before, haven't they? And they always accept your invitations, don't they?
Do you know those men?
Mm-hmm. Also.
Well, they may not be able to...
It's up to you to see that they do accept. That Walcott brings his wife, and Jones that Miss, what's her name? Ritz, that he's engaged to.
Why? What for?
I'm depending on you to do exactly as I say, do you understand? You're not to suggest to any of those men that I'll be there, that you've even seen me, that this party is anyone's idea but your own. Do you understand that, too?
This is impossible. I have business tonight.
So have I. Shall we say dinner at 8 at Crestwood tonight?
All right. Ironic, I suppose you think.
That the community considers you such an efficient saint? No, that's ignorance. Priam, I have a little sister being graduated from finishing school. She's coming home soon. And it seems that she's met that young nephew of yours.
Frank?
Mm-hmm. The Andes heir. And they've fallen in love, and they're engaged. That's irony, darling. Perhaps Mr. Andes will see you now.
Huh? Yes, thank you.
Hello, Carter. Uh-oh, cat on the bed, bad luck. Superstitious? A little bit. Anything break? Telegram. Anything break with you? Yes, Priam Andes into little pieces. He's going to invite those men. Carter, darling, why do you always seal my telegrams after reading them?
Force of habit, so you won't know I've read them. From your sister.
Oh, what'd she say?
Train gets in at 2.
Well, she knows the address. Are we just about packed for Europe?
Almost. You think we can afford that space on A deck since we're going alone this time?
We will be able to afford it. After I see Verlander, New York, and sell him back his lots on it. You know, it's going to amuse me having those particular rooms on that particular boat all to myself for once.
Manager of the building. Someone wants to see the apartment.
Oh, all right. Draw my bath, will you?
Oh, Miss Wren. Some more of our delightful weather, isn't it? I was just telling her...
Did you want to see the apartment?
This is Mr...
Why, if the rest of the apartment is as charming as this living room, I'm sure it will be more than suitable.
Miss Wren's furnishings included, as I told you, even to the view.
Yes, of a lot of oil wells. Would you like to look in here?
You just told me you were going abroad. If I should decide to take it, when can I move in?
Sometime next week.
Then I'll let you know here tomorrow or the next day.
I won't be here.
That's too bad. If I should decide to take it, I'd like to show it to my mother first.
Carter.
Well, if you're not going to be here, aren't there some papers to sign or something?
If necessary, you can get in touch with me at the Andes Ranch, above Crestwood up the coast. Carter, Mr.
Barnes.
Mr. Barnes and his mother will return. Will you show them around, please?
Thank you.
Yes, miss. No, thanks.
Oh, Carter, I'm just packing overnight bag. I think you'd better come up to the ranch yourself when you're finished.
All right.
Those 4 unsuspecting chiselers, including my host, are going to be desperate when they hear the bad news. I may need you.
You may at that.
Whether they like it or not,
They won't.
I'm dealing this hand.
With stacked cards. Won't the gentleman be inclined to shoot? An old Western custom.
That's baloney, Carter. Like the weather.
Give me one. Just one more before I meet the family. It'll steady me.
Hello, Carter.
How do you do, Miss Esther?
I'm so glad to see you, Carter.
Thank you. Will you go in the living room, please? I'll tell your sister you're here.
Getting home after a year always makes you laugh, doesn't it? You're so happy at having your family meet the train. Cheer when they see you, and all that. I hate cold things.
Come here, then. Warm now?
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Jenny's been swell to me.
Welcome home.
Hello, Jenny.
Hello, infant.
This is Frank, Jenny. I wrote to you about.
Frank Andes, isn't he?
Right.
Andes is a grand old name in California.
Oh, I don't pay much attention to that.
You've a nice smile. I'd use that smile on your uncle if I were you. When you tell him you're marrying a sister of mine.
It's not my uncle I've got to sell. It's my Aunt Faith. She brought me up and I'm mad about her. Aunt Faith is a little insistent about family and all that. You know, the old Andes stuff. As if I were a mountain.
Oh, she sounds tough enough.
No, wait till you meet her. She may drive down tonight when she gets my wire. I'll bring her up if you're going to be in.
Sorry. Your uncle's been kind enough to ask me up to his ranch over the weekend.
Great. We'll go up. A graduation party for you. We'll have a swell time.
You might at that. Well, children, I've got to dress. Oh, I can't go to the ranch. My trunks haven't come and I haven't a thing to wear. You can wear some of my things. Oh, I don't like those black things you wear. What a shame. A lot of other people have. I've never seen so many beautiful women in all my life. People bored me to tears. Oh, did you? I bet you not. Oh, by the way, I want to ask you, where did Billy stop the last time we was in Paris? That bowl of caviar from his bar. Oh, go on. It's so old and picturesque.
I'll say so, 1804.
Oh, really?
One can fairly breathe the aroma of old Spain, can't one?
Tell me.
Haven't you one or two old ghosts about?
Sure, they live in our secret passageways.
Secret passageways, oh, go on.
No, really, the place is full of them. The ancestors had to have them for the revolutions in the early days. Here, will you try one? Oh, come, Miss Smith, let's walk out. Will you try?
Oh, I don't know. Think about it.
I don't
I'll show you
know.
how.
Come on, I think it'll be fun.
Look here. Hasn't it struck you as peculiar that there are so few of us asked down here this time? And on such short notice, too. Why?
What's more peculiar is why we came. But one obeys his banker these days, isn't that, Pa?
Yes, if one is still lucky enough to have a bank. And gentlemen, that reminds me like a Blake-Gilbert story.
Herbert, come on, throw one. You too, Will. It'll help your aim at me after we're married. It's really very fancy.
Humorous people.
Yeah,
Now go on and try.
Oh, you're good. The unblinking eye, the steady hand. My aunt taught me all these things when I was a kid. I mean, fencing, riding, and shooting, things like that. Here.
Oh.
Whoa.
Let's roll.
Oh,
Good
Eddie.
gracious, did you see? Gee, that was close. One could be killed by one of these things.
Dead men tell no tales. Shakespeare.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my very good friend, Mr. Vane of Boston.
How do you do?
His first visit to our great state. I want you all to meet him. This is Miss Mia.
Good evening.
Come down, Miss Wren.
Hello, Jenny. Jenny Wren, evidently.
This is Mrs. Walcott, Miss Wren. Miss Mears
How do you do?
and Mr. Walcott.
Oh, the senator, isn't it?
Not yet, not yet. After the election, perhaps, Miss Wren, was it?
Frank, you know, this is my friend, Mr. Vane.
I wanted so much to meet you.
Yes, sir. And this is Mr. Jones.
How do you do?
And this is Eddie Mack.
Hi, Jenny. Miss Wren. Lovely evening.
Yes, isn't it?
Is it?
Come on, Jenny. We're going to gamble.
Good.
Isn't this a bit indiscreet, Priam?
I beg your pardon, Mr. Andes. Your sister, Miss Faith, has just arrived. She's in the living room.
Pardon me. Hey.
Surprised?
Why, I thought you were in Santa Barbara.
I was. Till I got Frank's telegram.
Yes, he's here. I suppose you're upset over this girl he intends to marry? I am too. Are you staying over, Faith?
Yes. I want to meet this girl. Oh, don't worry, Priam. I won't interfere with your guests. Isn't it a pity that as brother and sister, we have so few things in common? Raymond.
Yes, Miss Andes.
My usual place at dinner.
If he gets a shot, will be crochet.
Oh, not in this
It's a
hall.
matter that should be taken up.
I hope crochet comes over this hall.
But it's grand being with you, darling. I wanted you to meet Esther.
That's why I came.
And so, personally, when I return to California, I say with the poet, please there a man with soul so dead, and so on. You know, this is my native land. Shakespeare.
What a widely read young man you are, Mr. Mack.
But, Mr. Walker, surely you've enjoyed at least one stay in another part of the country, haven't you?
Oh, but Palm Beach can't touch
Palm Beach? When were you in Palm Beach, Herbert? You never told me.
Oh, but I did tell. That is, don't you remember? No, we don't.
But you remember other places you've been, don't you, Mr. Mack? Even Honolulu.
Sorry.
I may see you in these at the time of your marriage, Mac. Pittsburgh, isn't it? I have some
Oh, I don't envy you. The drawing rooms on trains are furnaces in September.
Oh, but Will always travels by plane.
Does he?
Ever since one hot September, yes.
Mr. Vane, you cut yourself.
How stupid of me.
Shall we go in?
Thunder and lightning, and her three witches, Shakespeare.
Seems to be almost everything that's quoted comes from Shakespeare, doesn't it?
Everything I quote does.
In the library in 10 minutes. Walcott, Jones, Mack, and you. Make some excuse.
Do you think Jimmy Vane likes it?
Do they teach you kiddies about Shakespeare in school nowadays? Exceptional writer, that fellow.
See him, Frank. An Andes. Very brave in his brave dress. Courts and battleships
Ships and shoes and sealing wax and cabbages and kings. I know my aunt. Dr. Pedro Valand Andes, Grand Inquisitor under Tokamatha of the Inquisition, died 1497.
Don Diego, of California when it was ours. My grandfather, Frank. He was killed fighting for family.
But we think of ourselves little nowadays.
No, I don't, my dear. I think of you and your sons.
What if I have daughters? Even you know, can't issue proclamations deciding that.
But the bloods that are mingled are right. There will be sons.
What were you, darling? An accident?
My grandfather said I should have been the man. And raised me as one.
And you, Priam, most of all, have been wondering what this little party of mine's about. Well, I'll tell you. I'm retiring. I'm quitting early, gentlemen, before I'm on the rummage counter. I'm sailing out at high tide, and I'm taking enough cold cash with me to ensure me of a comfortable old age. You didn't know that you'd all been gambling on the same green, did you? Will Jones, I want $50,000 from you.
Why,
I don't think that's too much to ask of the lumber business.
My business is on the verge of bankruptcy. I haven't got 50,000.
You'll get it. Priam will lend it to you. You, Priam, with your bank in such good condition, you can afford to double that ante. 100,000 from you.
Why, I can't afford it.
Yes, you can. Mac, you're broke, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
25,000.
It's all right if I can raise the money.
What?
Well, we're hooked, aren't we?
My dear young woman...
250,000 from you. $250,000, Herb. You sanctimonious old hypocrite.
How the mighty are fallen.
Be quiet. What if we refuse this,
This blackmail?
Yes, blackmail.
Do you realize
I
that you
realize that I can stop your marriage to Miss Mears. She's the only thing in the world you've ever really wanted, isn't she? And your marriage, too, Mac. That girl in Pittsburgh who's buying your page in the social register.
I'm not arguing with you, Jenny, but I'd like to wring your neck. Why can't men stay home nights?
This is impossible. You must be out of your mind.
Don't you quibble, Priam. Your letters would look fine in the newspapers. And yours, Senator. It would be patriotic to publish them. This country could use a laugh right now.
Hasn't it occurred to you that publicity of this sort will land you in the gutter, too?
Or in jail.
It'll never get the chance. If I can't live in the luxury that you men have accustomed me to, fini la guerre. That's all, gentlemen.
No, wait. If it's money you want, there's a man here tonight who would gladly give you more than all of us put together. I refer to Mr. Vane. He saw you in the bank and became infatuated with you. That's why he's here tonight. He asked me to invite him here solely to meet you. You're all he wants. He would give you everything you asked.
I'm through with that.
But, Jenny, if this man is willing to...
Come in.
This was delivered after you'd left, Miss Wren. I thought it might be important.
Thank you. My room's at the head of the stairs, as usual. You can go up and unpack.
You must have been born without a conscience.
Oh, a fraternity pin. She's gone through some college, too.
You wanted to know why I was through. You wondered why I didn't care about Vane's millions. I'll tell you why. 3 weeks ago, I was in the Adirondacks.
Will you wear this for me? You know, a fraternity pin really means much more than an engagement ring. I've never given that to anybody before. Oh, you do love me, don't you? I think I'd just stop breathing if you didn't.
Why, of course I do.
Of course, Father won't give us a nickel, but we'll have each other. Besides, I've got $100 a week from my mother's estate. We'll get along all right until I knock him over in the street.
You mean you don't get any money from your father if you marry me?
Well, not if I marry anyone till I'm 25. But think what fun we'll have making a go of it together.
I'm afraid that wouldn't be much fun. Bye-bye, Goldilocks.
What? Well, what is it?
You stay away from hungry mama bears after this. I may as well give you the needle quickly. It won't hurt so much. I like you. You're sweet. But I love the idea of your family's millions. That's my type.
But didn't you mean anything that you said?
Now, come on back to the house. I'll leave and you just forget all about me. Come on.
Well, goodbye.
Oh, don't be tragic, youngster. It's experience. Come now. Don't be silly.
Goodbye.
quitting. So get that cash, every one of you, or I'll say it with headlines.
It would give me great pleasure to kill you.
You haven't the nerve, any of you. If anything ever kills me except disgust, it'll be the memory of that boy's face, not you.
Do you imagine we fell for that sob story? The Adirondacks, eh? Carter said the package was delivered. From the grave, I suppose.
Anything the matter?
I think I saw a ghost.
Come now, let me dispel it for you.
$100,000. There must be something we can do.
There's only one thing.
Sure, pay up.
No.
Face.
Faith, where are you going?
I'm going to telephone the state police in the village. That girl's been murdered. The Crestwood police, please.
Highway Patrol, Crestwood.
Hello? Hello, this is the Andes Ranch. There's been a murder committed.
I wouldn't report that if I were you.
No? Take your hands out of your pockets.
Hello! Storm must have got the wires. Get up to the Andes Ranch. Take some men with you. Somebody started to report a murder. Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello? Line's dead.
So is Miss Wren.
Who are you?
If you please, Priam. How do you happen to know Miss Wren's name?
I've picked up a lot of interesting things waiting around here tonight.
Who are you?
My name is Gary Curtis.
It is not. He was in Miss Wren's apartment this afternoon.
He's been in a lot of apartments.
All right, officer, take your man.
Trying to pull a fast one, eh? That's all right, lady. There's nothing to worry about.
What is all this?
Help! Help!
Stick where you are, lady.
Gangsters!
Mr. Harris and his men, perhaps. But I'm of the old school.
We'll do something. Are you men or what?
Did you cut those phone wires, Pete?
Right, Chief. Now let's scram.
Can't. The road's been washed out and there's a 1,000-foot drop down the cliff. None of us can get away. I came up here for some letters that I was hired to get. And brought along an old school chum of mine and some of his boys.
Yeah, and walked us right into a murder.
I didn't want you to phone the police because I was recognized in Los Angeles this morning. If I'm even seen around trouble, they'll save themselves a lot of exercise by simply tagging me. Seat me in the electric chair and watch me fry.
Excuse me, Chief, it's hanging in this state.
While there come fairs in every worthwhile city in this country, not to mention London, Paris, and Rome, sit by, sigh gratefully, and cable for ringside seats. What a party, huh, Pete? With you and your men in the ring cooking. Excuse me, I mean choking.
Yeah. What are we going to do, Chief?
Grab the murderer and turn him over to the cops before the cops grab us.
How can we do it? We don't know who killed her.
That's what I'm going to find out. If you and your men want to take the rap, all right. It's not going to be my neck.
Well, not ours either. You give the orders. What a brain that baby's got. One time I knew
Don't talk so much. Now, inside, all of you.
This is ridiculous. A crook playing detective, ordering respectable people.
How do we know you didn't kill Miss Wren?
Just a minute. By saving my own neck, I'll save the innocent among you, too. But I'm going to do it my own way. I'm too young to die. Now, is everyone here? Answer me, are all of you here?
All but Esther Wren, Jenny's sister.
Where is she?
Sleep, I suppose. I thought it better to tell her about this in the morning.
Pretty sound sleeper, isn't she? Bright eyes. Find the servants and see what they're up to. Hurry up. Now, all of you in there. Inside, all of you.
Here, Ned. You stay over there. That's it.
Oh, Will!
Don't worry.
You see, we're quite serious. Cat, no one's to leave this room, get it? Come on, where is this Esther's room?
Esther? Esther! Something must have happened to her. If she wasn't asleep, she would have heard Jenny scream. Everyone else did.
Where is Jenny's room?
Esther! Esther! Darling. It's me, dear Frank. Are you all right?
Who's he?
Oh, never mind, sweet. What happened?
I don't know. Where's Denny?
What happened in here?
It's all right, dear. Tell us. Try to remember.
I was in your aunt's room. She wanted to talk to me about us. I have no objection to you personally, child. But the Andys have never mated their thoroughbreds with anything but thoroughbreds. And I'm sure when your background and your sister's is made clear to Frank, he'll be Andys enough to see that to carry on the line, he must marry a thoroughbred himself. But we love each other. Isn't that enough? That's not important. A woman is important only to bear sons. Do you think Frank will listen to this? It's out of the Middle Ages. It's cruel. I'm not responsible for my sister Jenny or what she's done. Our mother was just as fine as you are. And Frank is about the only person who's ever loved me, even a little bit. And I will marry him.
Down and tell Mother all about it.
Jenny, you've got to help me. Frank's aunt doesn't want to marry me because we're... Jenny screamed. I realized something was in back of me. I started to turn and something hit me over the head. That's all I remember.
Here, dear, put this over your shoulders.
Where's Jenny?
Cat, upstairs and watch that girl.
Whoever killed Jenny Wren tried to kill the sister, too, with this. Pete, keep your eye on this. Somebody in the room might try to wipe his fingerprints off.
Okay.
What do you mean? I told you that I've been around for some time tonight. Out there, waiting. I heard things. That each of you had a definite reason to kill Jenny Wren.
Splendid. What was yours?
I'm the one who had no reason to kill her. You did, as most of you did. And if necessary, I'm going to wrap up one of you for delivery and circumstantial evidence. Juries don't understand any other kind. You, maid.
Carter.
Carter.
Can't we stop this horseplay and do something?
You were very anxious to do something earlier this evening, weren't you?
Yes, I wanted to kill her.
Will!
Darling, it's got to come out now. I'll take my medicine. I used to know Miss Wren.
But you didn't do this.
No.
Maybe not. When did you last see Miss Wren alive?
When she dismissed me for the night.
Was she alone?
No. Mr. Walcott came in.
Who?
Mr. Walcott.
Well, where were you when I started for bed? Not in our room.
All right, Walcott. You first, in the library.
Well, I grilled the servants. They ain't got no clues, so I locked them up.
Have them round up the darts in the playroom.
Jenny! Jenny!
Esther, please. Inside.
Mr. Curtis, you say you heard things tonight. So I throw myself upon your discretion. I have to.
Yes, yes, Senator. Let's go. You called on Miss Wren?
Yes. Yes. I knocked on her door. She sent Carter away. I pleaded with her about this money she wanted. Wait till after my campaign, girl. Then I will be able to help you handsomely. Why, this publicity, it would ruin me. I have no money.
You're
You're a liar. You and your friends made millions on the street this last year, selling the suckers short.
Why, that is a...
No, it isn't. I met your broker take me to dinner last night. You've been selling short, selling America short, and at the same time issuing political statements about the return of prosperity, urging John Jones and his wife to buy. How do you think that's going to look on your opponent's billboard in this coming campaign?
You can't do this to me. $250,000, that's a fortune. Are you crazy?
Forgive me.
Forgive me. Well, good night. Good night. And so I left. Now, I mean to cast no unfair suspicion, but it had been suggested that Mr. Vane was interested, infatuated with Jenny, Miss Wren.
And so Vane stayed?
Yes.
And you went to bed?
Naturally.
Alone, naturally. All right, out. Mr. Vane.
Here are the darts. 7 of them.
Who were the experts at throwing these darts tonight?
What does that have to do with it? Anybody could have used one to stab.
But then the hand would have crushed the feathers like this. No. The dart in that neck was thrown.
But using a thing like that, taking a chance with it to kill...
Which indicates the murder was not premeditated. The murderer used this because he had no other weapon. How many darts were used when you were playing?
Why ask me? I don't know.
Then there's no telling how many there may be still out in the hands of the murderer.
Yes. To be used as he sees fit.
Don't say he. Any one of us might have done it, you said. I would have myself if I'd known the things that Will has just told me.
She, then it. Anything to save time, which, believe me, is scarce. The police are probably working on the road right now, and we've got to step on it.
Yeah, that's the rope for us.
Mr. Vane.
I have a confession to make.
No!
Here it comes. Come on.
Vane! That isn't my name. I'm Henry T. Herrick.
Of Boston?
Yes.
And you killed her?
No.
Then what kind of a punk confession is that?
Very well. I'll listen to the rest of it in there.
Please. You can't go on like this. Sit down.
Something else happened. I could only remember.
But don't try.
Something's trying to get through to me. Connecting up with something I can't remember.
Yes. I went to Miss Wren's room. When I saw her for the first time in Andy's office, I became infatuated with her. Try to understand that.
And being a banker of importance, you couldn't use your own name. So Andy's played along with you. What went on in that room upstairs?
I explained to Miss Wren.
Good night. Good night.
You will excuse me. I stepped out on the porch for a walk, but my door out there must have locked after me as I pulled it to.
Well, this one's not locked.
Has Mr. Anders explained?
You're on the make? Yes. Aren't you just a little ashamed at your age?
Love, Miss Wren, does fantastic things to all of us.
Yes, I've read about that.
And love makes us do fantastic things too.
And have those same things done to us. Good night, Mr. Vane. Will you please get out of here?
Naturally, I left her. I suppose it was foolish at my age.
To have left her? No, not at your age. Did you see anyone in the hall?
Yes. When I started from my room, door opened. Someone came into the hall. When he saw me...
Who?
Frank Anders. He stepped back into his room. I went on. After a moment, I opened my door again. The young man came from his room, went to Miss Wren's door, knocked.
What made you open your door again?
Curiosity, I suppose.
What time was it?
It was striking 2.
And then?
I picked up a book and read. I was too disturbed to sleep.
Listen, you two. Cut out that whispering. Get back the way you belong. Get over there.
Mr. Andes. No, you.
Do you mean to say that that man has suggested that my
Your nephew was the most expert at that daft game.
This is a fine graduation party. I graduated all right. All at once.
Don't, dear. I know what you came here for.
Be quiet. Hey.
I don't care. Whoever did this tried to kill Esther, too. Do you think I'm going to just stand by when I might be tried again?
This is impossible. Where are your backbones when you allow a common thief to...
Yes. I demand that Mrs. Walcott and I be permitted to go at once.
I ought to pin one right in your button.
Go where, Walcott? We're all trapped up here until the police get through that road. Hey! He can't get far. All right, kid.
I'll go too. Frank, you are determined to toss just anyone to the wolves, aren't you?
Anyone that the wolves will go for instead of me.
It's all right, General. I'd rather you wouldn't listen to this.
I'm going to.
All right.
She's guilty. The innocent little girls in stories always are.
Take it easy, Bright Eyes. You're taxing your brain. You said you knew what Mr. Vane, Harry, came here for.
Yes. To meet Jenny Wren. My uncle told me he wanted...
I know that. Is that all you meant?
Yes, and it's the truth.
Why did you go to Jenny's room?
You didn't.
Yes, I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. It's simply that you mustn't think that...
She wouldn't even let you alone.
Oh, it wasn't that. You don't know what's been going on here.
Never mind that. Why did you go to see her and what happened?
I had to talk to her about Esther. Don't laugh. As long as I'm marrying your sister, our family becomes yours, don't you see? You can't do this to us. Uncle Priam's terribly upset. He told me all about it. Oh, I know he's weak.
And you are not weak?
Uncle Priam doesn't dare tell Aunt Faith he's in such a jam. So I thought I'd talk to you. Oh, I'll get his 100,000 for you some way.
Oh, Jenny. Doing business for the kindergarten. I knew the gods would make a monkey out of me someday.
You've got to promise. Whether or not the rest of those fools come through, you won't talk. The publicity.
Oh, Esther, eh?
Yes. The mud you'd throw would stick to her all her life. And then it's going to be hard to get my aunt to welcome your sister as my wife as it is.
I like you, youngster. You've got stuff. But I've never promised anything before, and I'm not going to now. If the rest of those fools, as you say, don't come through, there's going to be more dirt than you've ever heard of. Oh, Esther can stand it. It might harden her up. The child's too soft for this civilization, anyway.
I might kill you if you hurt her.
But why?
It would have something to do with honor, I suppose. A word you wouldn't understand.
Oh, don't be a silly little boy.
It wasn't any use arguing with her. I left.
And then came downstairs, got some of those darts, and...
No!
You know that you went...
Wait! There's something you haven't thought of. If you'd only give me a chance to remember.
What happened to those lights?
Frank!
Here, dear.
Stand still. Don't move, any of you. Cat.
Yeah.
How'd the lights go out?
Don't know.
Fire switch. Andy, where is it?
Here.
Put it on.
One moment.
It won't work. Cat. My flashlight in the coat, quick. Hurry up, make snappy.
Get in there.
He's up back, quick! Can't get the candles from the dining room. Hurry! Where are you going? Wait a minute!
That's the death mask of my son. It belongs to me. I had it made. Because of her, he killed himself. The story Jenny told us. He died in my arms 3 weeks ago. It was all I had. He told me about Miss Wren. I determined to make her suffer as she made me. I determined to kill her. But first, to torture her with that death mask. I pretended to be in love with her. Got Anders to invite me. I put on the mask. Got out on the porch. Opened her door. I expected to find her alone. Asleep. But she was awake. She screamed. Her sister, who was with her, started to turn. I picked up the candlestick and struck her. Jenny got out of bed. She backed towards the door, into the hall. I heard a peculiar knock. Her face twisted with pain. She staggered to the stairs. Fell. I closed her door. Got back on the porch, went to my room, took off the mask, joined the others here. I wanted to kill her. I wish I had.
Huh. His heart's gone.
Well, he's better off. Couldn't find a thing upstairs, Chief.
Wait! I remember now. Oh, look! Oh.
Another door. This is horrible. Just missed her neck. She's fainted. All right, carry her upstairs. Bright Eyes, up with them and watch both of them. The minute she comes to, call me. She was stabbed because she was going to tell me who killed Jenny Wren. So whoever's guilty will have to kill her now.
Oh, this is ghastly. Can't we get out of here? Not one of us is safe.
Anders, I'll have you run off of every committee in town for this. By heaven, I'll have your bank examined.
Get out, you fool.
You filthy little representative of the cancer that's eating the vitals of this country. A gangster.
Keep quiet, please. Haven't you bungled enough? Or are you going to blunder on till we're all killed?
No. This dart wasn't thrown. Its feathers are crushed. The girl was stabbed by somebody in this room. And when I find which one of you left this room in the dark and appear with the mask on, I'll have the...
Carter! Sherlock, she went up those stairs long before the lights went out.
How did she happen to go upstairs?
She had to.
Carter. We've got to find her. All right. All of you upstairs. Can't lock everybody in their room.
What are you going to do now?
I'm going to turn this place inside out and find Carter for the police. Come on.
Come on.
Come on, get out there.
Come on, open up. Is she still out?
Yes.
This dame will relieve you.
The poor child should have a doctor. Oh, when the police get here, you men will suffer for this.
Maybe we will. Come on. Lock the door, then lock her up again in her room. Listen, Chief. My boys are getting nervous. We don't want to get Hung, Chief. No kidding. What say we pin this on somebody and take it on the lam, Chief? We might be able to get down that cliff, Chief.
Nobody can get down the cliff. And stop calling me Chief. You can't just pin it on anybody without proof.
Okay, Chief. Do you think we can find it before the cops break through that road?
I don't suppose you ever heard of airplanes. The Los Angeles police are in on this by now. We've got to step on it. If I can only figure out what caused that knock before the dart struck Jenny Wren.
Knock?
Vane, whatever his name is, Herrick heard it too. Can Esther Wren talk yet?
No.
If it had only been that kid that was murdered, it would be a cinch.
Oh, no, we got enough without...
I mean, there's a perfect reason to have wanted to kill Esther Wren.
What?
The aunt. To keep her from marrying Frank. But she had no reason to kill Jenny Wren.
Say, listen, I've been all over this joint, and there ain't no sign that made Carter.
Who was sitting by that lamp before the lights went out?
How do I know? I'm no dick. Why?
Because whoever was sitting here scraped the insulation off these wires, which caused a short circuit and blew the fuse. That's why the lights went out. Where was Carter when she asked to go upstairs?
Over there, whispering to old Andy's.
What were they whispering about that time?
Oh, I know that. I got it out of Andy's upstairs. She tried to blackmail him for some letters of his that Jenny had. What a bunch of mangy pillars of society.
What I can't figure out is, if Carter left this room before the lights went out, who made that short circuit?
Who was sitting in that chair? Where was the dart that was used on Esther hidden? Who used it? What was Esther trying to tell me? Oh, how do I know? I'm only an amateur at this detective business. Sneak out and see how the cops are getting along with that road. Come on, let's have a look outside. If Carter was desperate, maybe she did try to get down that cliff. The woman couldn't just have evaporated.
I got the motive. Insurance. You know. Didn't you ever read one of those murder mysteries?
Oh, sit down. Say, it might have been insurance at that. If Carter knew she was in Jenny's will, why there wouldn't be... Well, I never noticed that shale. Why, that stuff could sweep you over the cliff before you'd realize it.
What about that insurance motive?
How could the woman kill all those people without... It's a passageway, Pete.
See any faces down there?
You don't believe in ghosts, do you?
No, but I'm afraid of them.
This must be hundreds of years old. Built to get from the house down to the sea. I guess there used to be a way down that cliff to the boats. Come on. What's that? It's only a bat. Come on.
I was worried about you.
Well, I guess we're getting near the house. Just as I thought. There's a stairway. Look! There's Carter, Pete. And the third dart. It didn't miss the neck this time. She was stabbed, too.
And dragged here.
Chief! It's only the death mask. Whoever killed Carter must have been the one on the balcony with this face.
Look, Chief, a door. Let's try it. What'd I tell you? Vane. He came down through that.
Ah, we are all wet.
Why?
How could he be down here on his knees looking up at the balcony and be up there with the mask on at the same time?
Please let him, will you? We got to frame someone for this quick.
I suppose he was in Jenny's room and out in the hall at the same time, too.
Was he?
He told us he was in Jenny's room with the mask on when she screamed and backed out. He said he heard the knock just before she fell.
Maybe he was lying.
He wasn't. Because just before Jenny fell into my arms, she cried out, "That face."
In your arms. So you were in here then. If we don't get anyone else for this, what's to stop me from handing you over to the police?
Oh, so now I killed her, huh?
Well, Carter seemed to have met you before, and you seem kind of shady about why you came here. It kind of adds up.
You bet it does, you ape. Do you think if the tide wasn't rising above my nose that I'd be around here imitating a dick? I'll show you what I came up here for. Miss Jenny was after some big dough. Another boyfriend of hers, G.K. Valanda in New York, hired me to get his letters back. Well, I did.
When?
While you were upstairs talking to these people and getting this.
Okay, Chief. But how did you know she'd have the letters here?
She got them out of her vault yesterday morning. I saw them in her traveling bag in her apartment later.
What a brain.
Well, it won't be long now. The cops have got a steam shovel on that road. Now, I'm going to give both you guys about 10 minutes, and I'm going to start doing a little framing myself.
Shut up.
Yeah?
I mean, don't be funny.
Well, that corpse ain't.
This dart didn't go in at an angle. Whoever threw it was directly behind her.
Hey, you going dippy too?
The knock before the dart hit her. Pete, quick. The magnifying glass in the library.
Here you are, Chief.
And I always thought Sherlock Holmes used this glass for a gag. Here's a chip of ruby from a finger ring that struck the wall and cracked it. When Frank Andes pulled back his arm to throw that dart, his hand...
But this is the old lady's room.
The aunt. Was she wearing a ring?
I don't know.
I've got it, Pete. If she's only wearing that ring now, that's evidence the police can understand. Where is she?
Taking care of the girl.
Unlock the door, quick. They're gone. We've got to find them. She's taken that kid out to kill her. She tried to do it before. There must be an opening in that passageway from here. That's how they got out.
Tried to kill Esther.
Yes, it's as plain as day. The aunt saw Esther go into Jenny's room. Then when Jenny backed out of the room in the dark, the old lady thought it was Esther. Jenny Wren wasn't meant to be killed at all. Right, Eyes. Get the boy Frank. He'll know where this opening is.
We don't need him.
Oh, shoulder. Oh, I know, dear. You should be in bed. But it's so nerve-wracking in the house with those men there. You see, this is the only way we can get out.
Go on, in there.
The sea air will do you good. I want to talk to you. Try to know you better. Perhaps I have been a little harsh. Thank you.
Don't be a fool. Show me how to get into that passageway. Why should I lie to you?
I don't know. But you can't convince me Maya killed that maid Carter.
I tell you she did.
Why?
Because Carter tried to blackmail your uncle for the affair he had with Jenny.
I don't believe that, and I don't believe she tried to kill Esther.
You've got to. It was Esther she meant to kill last night when Jenny backed out of that room. Don't be a fool if you love that girl.
Can't you imagine I'd believe what you say about my aunt? Or that I'd help you do anything to her?
Will you believe your eyes? This room was locked. Why should she take Esther through these walls? I'll tell you why. To complete what she started out to do. Keep Esther from marrying you and protect the Andes name. The woman is insane with family pride. Carter is lying dead in that muck down there. Do you want your girl beside her? Because that's what your aunt is trying to do. Kill her now. Can't you see I'm telling the truth?
All right.
My father used to joke about my having sand in my veins instead of blood. Well, the sand in my hourglass is running low. So it doesn't matter about me. But it does matter about Frank. Terribly.
This way.
In my girlhood, this clip was called the Leap of the Lovers. When two sweethearts of different classes could not marry, they would let themselves slip to their death down to those rocks. Afraid? When you left me last night to go to your sister's room, you hated me, didn't you?
No. I rather felt you hated me. That's what I was trying to remember. That you might have thought Jenny was me. Why?
You are threatening our name, my dear. Sorry, Frank.
Was it scraping the insulation off the wires that broke this nail?
Yes.
You'll witness this.
It wasn't very well planned, was it? I never have been one to think much of consequences, Mr. Curtis, is it? Thank you.
That mask. How did you know about that?
I saw the old gentleman frighten Miss Wren with it early in the evening.
Thank you.